Hey, welcome everybody. Thank you all for joining us. Welcome to another episode of Birth Your Vision podcast live. It's a pleasure to have you all here today. Thank you so much for always supporting and being part of a great podcast. So, welcome once again. As you know, my name is Hannah Kupali, and the aim of this podcast it's about helping female entrepreneurs and also business owners to gain more exposure, more visibility, and also to create fun, fantastic, and divine collaborations, as well as speaking opportunities and to make sale. So every week I will be here bringing you amazing, beautiful experts to actually share business and also give you tips and knowledge, as well as inspiration and advice about how you can actually grow your own business. So today's topic, it's about ways to strengthen your marriage as well as to avoid divorce. And joining me is an amazing guest, and I'll be introducing her very shortly. So let's talk about today's topic. As we all know, it takes effort to protect, to nurture, and to also grow your marriage. And so, between school run and obviously work schedule, as well as running around with the children, planning homework sessions, taking them to places, and all other obligations, sometimes it can seem like the mountain is too high and it's just impossible. So when problems such as these arise, as you know, for couples, it's important for us to find a healthy way for us to grow together rather than to separate and throw in the word, which is divorce. So it's better for us to actually work on our relationship and to also avoid anything that would allow us to go into the form of separating and, that would end up in many marriages being broken, and so there are proactive ways and measures for you to actually take to help you stay, in your marriage. And so we'll be sharing lots of tips tonight, and we'll be looking at ways to improve our communication and to also infuse more romance in our day-to-day life and to improve your partnership. And so today, joining me in the studio is the amazing Ruth. Oluwadare is a
Oluwadare.
Oluwadare. She is a multi-award winner, founder, and also an entrepreneur. She is a mentor, a coach, and she's also an author as well. She is known as the Unbreakable Ruth. She's also a certified life and relationship coach, and she's certified by the International Association of Therapists. So, through her courage, confidence, as well as self awareness and also wisdom, Ruth has been able to teach, to speak, to lead, and to shine the light for other women to see what treasure lies in them. So, to help them and to also get back to the core of who they really are, as well as to build their confidence, self esteem, and to also regain their identity. And so today it's a pleasure to actually welcome the amazing, divine Ruth. Thank you so much for joining us today on today's
Thank you.
podcast.
Thank you.
It's an
Thank you
honor
so
to have
much.
you. It's an honor
Yeah,
to have you.
it's a pleasure here too. Thank you.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, how
Yeah,
was your day and how are you feeling today?
I'm fine. I'm great. The weather it's actually raining presently, so
Yeah,
I love the weather presently. Not too cold, just cool where you can
yeah.
sleep, not sweaty. But today has been fine really for me. Yeah.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Brilliant. So I'm really happy to actually hear that. So thank you so much for our viewers for joining us. And so for those of you who are catching us live streaming on Facebook, on YouTube, welcome to all of you. Put your questions below, share your thoughts. Let's get the conversation started. And so today I'm talking to Ruth. She is a relationship coach and she's going to be sharing, tips and strategies to actually help us in terms of making sure that we are working in partnership with our partners in order for us to avoid separation and end up divorcing. So, Ruth, now
Yeah.
let's talk about your role as a relationship coach.
Um,
You've been in this position for a couple of years, which you're going to share with us. And I want to definitely know about, tell us about your role as a relationship coach.
okay. As a relationship coach, it's actually my joy to see relationship working.
Yeah,
And actually, first of all have a relationship with yourself before thinking of
absolutely.
having a relationship with some other person, because usually we make that mistake to neglect ourselves and jump into another relationship,
Yeah.
or maybe have a breakup and the next thing is into another relationship. So the first step is love yourself,
Mm-hmm.
appreciate yourself, build your self-esteem, have your confidence, and that way you are going into a relationship to complement the other person, not to
Absolutely.
be a burden, not to be
Yeah,
something that the person is dragging along and the journey becomes even tougher than it was before you came in. So it's my joy to see a whole relationship, a whole marriage. We definitely can't have a perfect marriage, but we can work towards it. We can have the goal, we can have the desire, put in the effort. I put my effort, you put your effort, and yeah, we have that marriage that makes us happy, because everyone's joy is to go back home to a happy home, not
absolutely.
a home where you're afraid to go back into. So yeah, my goal is to see homes happy, healthy, and safe for both the man, the woman, and the children.
Fantastic. Awesome. So, who are your ideal clients? Who do you
My
work with as a relationship coach?
I work majorly with women.
Okay.
Though sometimes I get men who request that I should please help them out, but mostly my target audience is women between the ages of 25 to 35, though sometimes still I
Yeah.
have people of older age, up to 45, 50,
Yeah.
but my ideal client is between 25 and 35.
Right. Fantastic. And, what are the solutions that you actually help them to resolve? And what do they actually come to you for? And what solutions do you provide for those women?
Some of them usually come with the intention to get a spouse, like something I can do to get someone to be attracted to me and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But in the course of our session, I discovered that something is missing inside of them. So I first focus on the person. I
Right.
focus on you to
Mm-hmm.
make you the person that even you will be comfortable with. And then after we work together on that, then we can now think about relationship. Of course not. I'm not doing matchmaking. I'm not into that. I
Yeah.
know of someone who does that, but I'm not into that. So but basically I help you to have that confidence that will attract the kind of person you desire.
Okay.
And if you desire someone, if you have a particular picture of a person and you are not even up to that,
Mm-hmm.
you are definitely going to attract the person on the level where you are. And that's why
Right.
you keep attracting the wrong person and you're angry and you're not taking time to look inwards to see what is attracting this person to me. I want someone better. So what can I do? How do I
Mm.
go about it? So basically my first job is to face you, work on you,
Yeah.
make you a better person, increase the frequency with which you are, make you go higher, then you can attract someone on that higher frequency that you so desire.
Right. That sounds like a great kind of coaching program that you offer women and to help
Yeah.
them to kind of find someone who actually matches them,
Yeah.
which is really good work from your side. There's quite a lot going on, especially now during COVID season where everybody's at home and
Yeah.
there's lots of fantastic relationships, marriages that has worked for many years, but however there are some that are still trying to make things work, and obviously
Yeah.
being in the lockdown has
Yeah.
definitely kind of changed the face of certain marriages in the household. there's
Yeah.
there's there's lots of positive and there's also negative as well.
Yeah.
And so I wanted you to kind of touch on those things, especially for those who are watching right now, who are, having some kind of challenges, especially during this season, because sometimes when you are in the household and you see each other every day, there's bound to be some form
Yeah.
of some form of friction, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a trigger.
Yeah.
What advice would you give coming from a relationship coach on how to manage such in the household?
Okay. The first thing I think is going to bring more friction in a
Yeah,
relationship or marriage is basically because of over familiarity. Like 247, you're together,
yeah,
like in the living room together, in the room together, almost everywhere you're together, and it's like
everywhere.
there's no breathing space. No time. You can't even go out. Lockdown, I said you can't have a meeting with any friend. If at all you're having a meeting with any friend, is virtual.
Hmm.
That restriction has made it like you are choked up. And no matter how much you say you're social, you need some time for yourself. And
Yes.
sometimes when you don't get that me time, you become cranky, little thing
Hmm.
upsets you, and then everyone around you start walking on eggshells.
Yes.
So in this kind of situation, really, my advice would be create time for you. If you want to stay in the top to spend time for yourself or just watch movie alone, you don't need to watch it with your family, because when you have time for yourself, it rejuvenates you, it gives you strength, and then you even long more for other
Mm.
people, for those around you. But when you're always together, you're going to choke each other out. You feel choked up. Like a time the natural, you will like, can you just be like, let me be? And we don't want to get to that stage. And to prevent that, the first thing is to create time for you. Don't be too needy. Don't
Yeah.
be always on the other person's neck. Like you like, let's say the man, and men can be very interesting. Once they're not in the mood to talk, they just find their little corner. And here's a wife. She's like, you don't want to talk to me. What's happening? Like, and little from that little stuff that could have been resolved by
Avoided.
she taking time to herself at that time, she start keeping grudges, gets angry, and then when the man is in the mood to play, he comes to meet her and she's like, get off. And that's where another problem is. Women, we like to assume that your men are doing some things deliberately. Actually,
Right.
it's just a like, and if you think about it this way, someone that claims to love you and they do will not deliberately hurt you, even if they do, because yeah, we hurt each other. It's part of life, is human, it's part of us. We'll make the mistake, but the difference is that when I make that mistake, when I realize, I'm going to apologize, but how do I realize without you telling me what I did?
Mm.
And then the man will be confused. What is happening? And then, the ego too will come in from the moment you're done, you come and meet me. And then the malice starts.
Yes.
And then another mistake is women have these expectations that a man should understand when they need them, understand what they should do at each time. But the
Yeah.
truth is, they are not mind readers. It is what you
Yes.
tell them, request from them, that they will do. I understand there are some men that even when you tell them, you're just on your own. While there are some men that even before you ask, they know you need this help and they're going to give it to you. But the
Absolutely.
first thing is know your man.
Mm.
What works for you, what works for the next door person may not work for you. For the
Yeah.
other person, it could be that even before she called him, he's already there with her helping out. Meanwhile, on your own hand, he may genuinely not know. So now working with
Absolutely.
someone else's expectation in your marriage is you asking for problem.
Mm.
So work with your own understanding. Work with what you believe in. Work with what is tailored to your relationship. While it is good to pick from what is working in A or B family,
Yeah.
weigh it with your family and see, does this work with the personality of the person I'm living with?
Right.
Is this in tune with this person's personality? And at all costs, try to communicate with each other. Another thing you
Mm.
can do to help each other is role play. What I
Yeah.
mean by role play is, um, if you as a wife, you like your husband cuddling you, act it to him. Show him how you want him to to cuddle you, to show his love. Some people
Yes.
may not like PDA, but you may love it, and your husband may not really fancy. But if you show it to him that I like this, do more of this, and give him time to adjust. It's not
Mm.
going to happen overnight. Give him time to adjust with patience,
Yeah.
understanding. Is going to work. So basically, that is what you need. Don't choke up your partner. Be patient with your partner and also show what you want and communicate. No, Sama, you need to go.
Fantastic. What do you think are the three most important things when it comes to marriage? What do you think are the three most important things in marriage?
Openness, openness,
Hmm.
communication, and
Yeah.
dealing with issues. 1 minute, please.
Yeah.
No, Sama, go upstairs. Thank you. Openness, communication, and dealing with issues. And when I say dealing with issues, is when you have something in your mind you're not happy
Hmm.
about, express it.
Yeah.
Expressing it does not mean you attack the person. Don't attack his person. Don't attack your partner's person. Express how you feel. Tell them what they did. Let's say, for example, you expected your spouse to cook before you come back home, and instead of cooking, he was watching the TV. Of course, you'll be angry. You can go, if you want to go cook, you can call him and say, "We need to do this together, but please, next time, don't wait for me. I'm exhausted." Or even
Yes.
if you're not going to cook, like express it. Don't keep it inside and assume that he's going to understand. Even if you
Indeed.
have told him many times, and it's like he's repeating and repeating it, the only time I can now say if he's getting to that point where he's looking like he's deliberately doing it, then you need to see someone to help you in the relationship.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just looking at the comments, somebody talked about self-love, which is what you said in the beginning about loving yourself first.
Yeah.
And also someone also comments saying, definitely true communication is key,
Yeah.
because, you know, in anything is all about communication,
Yeah.
whether it's at workplace, whether it's communicating with your friends and your family, or whether you're putting an event together. One of the first foundation is all about communicating. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of things, I think a lot of marriages break because of lack of communication, not being
Yeah.
able to speak out and to
Yeah.
really say what you need to say,
Yeah.
which is really, really true. So yeah, definitely I agree with what you've just said as well. So how do you kind of let's talk about you sharing tips on how couples can actually strengthen their marriage. How can they
Yeah.
strengthen their marriages?
Okay. I mentioned one earlier on,
Yeah.
which is role play. Role play is a very good tool to use if you want to strengthen each other's love.
Yeah.
How role play works is the husband can sit down and the wife acts to the husband
Yeah.
how she would love her husband to behave towards her.
Yes.
So let's say she's a kind that while she's walking, she would love her husband to just suddenly surprise her with a cup of coffee.
Mm.
She would do it
Yeah.
and
It's
tell her,
about
oh,
the little
tell him, oh,
gestures.
yeah,
Yeah.
I love this. I want you to do this. I'm not saying do it every day, but
Yeah.
once in a while, when you can do it, please do it. I really like it. It makes me feel happy and wanted. Like, don't be shy to say how you feel to your spouse.
Yes.
Don't I don't know. Some people can be very shy to express their feeling, and sometimes it is actually from their upbringing. If you are from this conservative kind of family where everything is you're keeping it, you're gentle, you're this, when you're not, and really inside of it, that's why I said when I'm working with someone,
Yeah.
I try to first work with you. And when I'm working with you, it means I'm trying to know your conditioning from childhood and actually what you really would love to get out of life. Once those two things are established, then we are sorted. So the
Fantastic.
first thing is the role play, and the second thing is communication.
Mm. Fantastic. Awesome. So I think some of us, like you said, in terms of how we've been brought up, we find it very hard to even communicate our
Yeah,
feelings and even share those feelings. And so it's very hard for the other partner to understand exactly how we feel. And so these are some of the frictions that happen within the household.
yeah,
And I think, a lot of time it becomes something bigger. It starts to kind of, get bigger, and it
yeah.
leads to, what you don't really want. So you're definitely right. I mean, why do you think that some marriages, they fail? Why do you think that some marriages fail?
One of the problem is your conditioning, your
Right.
beliefs.
Okay.
Your belief actually play a big role in everything an individual ventures into.
Right.
Like, let's say a man is coming from an household where they feel everything about a woman is in the kitchen. And
Mm,
you, the woman, you didn't take time to know his beliefs. But because he is educated and is okay, is living in a like is living in UK, like you would think, oh, someone living in the UK should understand I should work, blah blah blah. Don't be surprised there are many in this same UK who
yeah.
believes their wife should remain in the kitchen. Like, you don't need to work, just raise the kids, take care of the house. But you love to work. You love to do something, you love to be productive.
Mm,
Now coming from different background and different having different beliefs, that's gonna bring serious problems to the marriage. There are two things that would
absolutely.
happen. both of you coming together, it's more like sandpaper. You rub each other, you're going to injure yourself. There will be
Yeah.
hurt, but in the hurting comes the smoothness, and when the smoothness comes, you will forget your pain. Or the other option is divorce, which usually I would say no to, except in the case of domestic violence, I can say
Yes.
yes. But if it's
Mm-hmm.
not of domestic violence and it's something that can be worked on, I would say put effort. It's really not going to be palatable. It's going to be painful. Like you're going
Mm,
to adjust. The other person too
absolutely.
will adjust, and just go through the process. And with time, you are going to make things work. So the first thing is your beliefs. That's why before going into a relationship with anybody, know what they believe in. I know of someone that was dating a guy who believes that who says he can never marry a teacher. And the
Right.
person he's dating is a teacher. The lady has to cut the relationship, like, okay, that's your belief. Then she later discovered it was due to his mom's experience as a teacher, and he is not ready to address the issue. So and thank God it was still just relationship, not marriage. So she was like, no, I'm not ready to go through this phase. I'm a teacher for
Mm,
life, and I'm going to remain the teacher. So she had to let go of the relationship. So these are, and the funny part is, there are little things that we
yeah.
always overlook. We always
Absolutely.
overlook all these things, but they are the little things that destroy the big things. So my advice would be, notice the trend and study the person. Like, study what is happening. And then if peradventure you're in the marriage already and it's like you have done everything you can, have you tried to see a therapist, a counselor? Like, I would say do everything you can to see how much it can work before you think
Mm,
of giving up.
giving
Then
up. Yeah.
after you have done all you can and it's like it's still not working, then that's a different case. But still try, put effort into it.
Absolutely.
Pray as
Indeed.
well. We can't
Yeah.
remove God from the picture. Pray as well. And let's see what we can do to make things work. But the major thing is, know yourself, know who you are going into your relationship with, know who your partner is, know their belief, know what surrounds them as a person, know how they relate in their family. If they see a woman as some kitchen slave, or they see a woman as someone they should help to be a better person, like,
Mm,
know what they believe they have
yes.
about their partner, who their partner should be. In some family, they believe the man should only be the one financing the whole thing.
Right.
And so the whole burden will be on the man. The man will be under serious pressure, and anyone under pressure would react negatively. A time would come, it's
Absolutely.
just like rubber band. When you keep pulling, a day will come, it will snap. And when it
Definitely.
snaps, it brings pain. So basically, if you're going into a relationship with a person, know who the person is, know their belief system, know what they believe in before you conclude and say, okay, I'm going. And if you're in the marriage already, work on it. Don't just give up. Try all these tips that you've heard. See a therapist as much as you can.
Yeah.
Practice a role play.
Indeed.
Try the role play. The role play can work because when someone is in your shoe, you stand a chance for them to understand how you feel a little bit. So put them in that circumstance that you are. Try to explain to them. Now you tell them to be aware of what they
Yeah.
want to do. Let it not look like
Mm,
you're forcing them, but just
yeah.
want them to be like, if you're in the kitchen, tell them to go and cook for just one day. Let them feel it. From there, they can have the understanding of, okay, this one is really not easy. Let me be there for this woman. Let me do the little I can to help, even if it's to just wash the plate. You
Yeah.
understand? So role play is
Absolutely.
actually going to be very helpful in
Mm-hmm.
your relationship. And I believe if you do everything, prayer, and then see a therapist if necessary, I'm sure you'll be very fine.
Absolutely. But you know, sometimes some people find it very difficult to even see a therapist or even a relationship coach or, someone who can actually help them and guide them. And that's sort of everybody's take on that. It's so different. It could be, the culture, the tradition, or whatever it is. And they find it very hard. I mean, what is your advice for people who find it very difficult to seek for help when it's needed?
For me, I would say there have been situations where the woman is the one that came to me for help,
Mm.
and the man is not budging. Like, do everything you want to do. I'm not coming. So basically, what I say is, Simon, please, no, you are disturbing me. Apologies. So basically, what I would say is first focus on yourself, because When something is alive in you, it will radiate.
Mm.
Focus on yourself, work on yourself to be a better person than you are. Now, when I say better person than you, I'm not saying you are awkward, I'm not saying you are bad, but
Yeah,
there's always a space for growth. You
absolutely.
can grow, just keep growing, get better in whatever it is you're doing. And when you focus on yourself, no one wants to be left behind, really. If
Indeed.
he's a reasonable person and he sees that, oh, my wife is getting better, our character these days are changing. And I'm saying this is not even for someone who, we say Christian. This one is not someone who goes to church. She's just
Yes.
a normal person. But when you change, when something is alive in you, if it's alive, it's part of you, it
Yeah.
will be noticed. And when it's noticed, because it is something good, it will attract. And that way it will attract your spouse. And your spouse will be, it's going to be like, what have you been doing? What happened? What
Absolutely.
changed? And so by
Mm.
the time they start asking that question, from there you can penetrate. Oh, I have a counselor. I have a coach. She's the one helping me. That way you
Mm.
drag them. That's why I would say don't be so keen to drag your spouse to see a counselor, but first see a counselor when you know you have the need for. Now, if both husband and wife are of the belief that they don't need a person, I don't know how to help them because the solution is they actually will need. I
Exactly.
usually recommend a healthy third party in a marriage.
Mm.
Someone who will not be biased.
Yes.
Even it doesn't even have to be a professional person, someone you can trust to be sincere and true. In case they are thinking, oh, they are looking for money, you can go for someone you can trust who will be there for you. Because every relationship, marriage actually needs a healthy third party who will call either of you back to your senses when you are straying. There's a
Definitely.
need for that part. So if there's a marriage that is saying, no, we are keeping everything, I'm not saying you should start saying everything about yourself. There are some
Yeah.
things you shouldn't, but there are some things that you know that this is going out of it. I need to speak to someone. Talk to the right people. Don't just go to someone, don't just go to a friend. Know who you're talking to, because anyone you're talking to will either help you to destroy that marriage or
Yeah.
build it.
Indeed, absolutely. You have to be very careful who you share your
Yeah.
relationship with because you don't really know their intentions.
Yeah.
And someone was just saying that, yes, definitely common sense is very important. And also, it's very important to respect each other's needs and
Yeah.
personality and taking initiative. I totally, definitely agree with that. So,
Yeah.
for some of our viewers who are just joining us, welcome again to Birth Your Vision podcast. I have an amazing guest, Ruth, and we're talking all about relationship and how you can actually strengthen your relationship, your marriage, and avoid divorce today. I'm just going to be sharing my screen so that I could actually just basically show you a little bit more of what the amazing Ruth does. She is also an author as well, and she has written quite a lot of amazing books. So I just wanted to show you one or two books that Ruth has actually written as well, which is quite amazing. So Ruth, tell us about one of the books that you've actually written. And
Um,
I'm talking particularly about the marriage one.
um, is it the relationship evaluation workbook?
Yes, that's the one.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
It's actually a very short book, and it has questions in it. In the book, it's actually more like an analysis kind of book. I gave some explanations about yourself and how
Yeah.
to know yourself, to know
Indeed.
if you're toxic and need to work on yourself, or if your
Mhm.
relationship is toxic, or the person you're in a relationship with is toxic. And
Yeah.
so many times when we're talking about toxic relationship, people always think it's about beating, shouting, and nagging. Toxic can mean that the person you're in a relationship with does not have self-love.
Yes.
The
Indeed.
person in that relationship believes that he must only to get you to love him, he must always buy you something. That's not healthy.
Mm.
It is not by buying, it's by showing and doing. And it's not
Yeah.
about gifts. It's about you, who you are, what
Yeah.
you believe in, and also your values as a person. So in that book, I have details. I have questions asking how many times you spend with your family, and how
Yes.
many times you take yourself out as an individual, or do something that makes you happy. Self love can be you having a me time going to cinema alone. It doesn't have to be with someone. Self
Indeed.
love can be you eating out alone. If you
Yes.
are comfortable with being alone by yourself, because if you are always needing someone to be there around you always, then something is wrong. And the reason
Mm.
I'm saying something is wrong is because these are the things that would choke up the marriage.
Yeah,
It will take out the life in the marriage. And then
indeed.
the same thing you don't want will finally happen.
That's
So
right.
in that book, I asked different questions. I can't remember all of them now, but I asked questions like, how often do you take yourself out? Are you the kind of person that always buys different gifts just to make your relationship going? Are you the type that you find it difficult to say you're sorry when you're wrong, or you say sorry even when you are not wrong?
Yeah.
And saying sorry has been bastardized. You say sorry even when it's not needed. You say I'm sorry when, and the person you are telling, even so, at some point the sorry will no longer carry weight. Like it will look senseless. Like, why are you
Yeah,
sorry
indeed.
for? So
Yeah.
the value in the sorry will now be gone, all just because someone finds it easy to say sorry. And actually, when you find it easy to say sorry, it basically means that something is wrong with your self-esteem and you don't
Yes.
have confidence in yourself. So related questions are there, and also asking question about your family, how they relate. If you are the kind that believe in having me time with your family, or your friend, someone somewhere must determine what you do, or your maybe your parents, then something is going that relationship is going to head the rock, as in is heading towards the rock at the end of the
Yeah.
day. So in that book, I have those kind of questions there that is going to bring some kind of enlightenment. And of course, I recommended, if there's need, if they answer a particular amount of question as negative, then they definitely need to see a counselor. So that is a very short book, but it's more of question, and you answer the question, your partner or whoever it is, it could be a friend. It
Yes.
works for any kind of relationship. You find out to know who they are, and if it is something you need to put your efforts into. So that's what the book is about.
Fantastic. That sounds really amazing. And so, for some of you who would like to get this book, Ruth will be leaving some of her information and details below so you can actually get access to it. And the book is called The Relationship Evaluation Workbook. Also, Ruth has actually written another book, which is The Value Code. Do you want to tell us something about that as well? The Value Code.
Okay. The value code is about your value, your self-esteem,
Yeah.
and also building healthy boundaries. Now, for your value is for you to see who you are. This one is Bible related. So someone who is a Christian will understand more, but anyone can actually understand. But I related it more with the Bible and my experience. I
Right.
spoke about when I was struggling with my self-esteem and how my self-esteem was damaged. And meanwhile, when you see me, you will see that very bold roots. I have this perfect picture of someone who is bold, but inside of me, my
Yeah.
self-esteem was zero.
Wow.
And I also explain how I was able to build it. I also have another book where I explain more on the self-esteem one, but I explain briefly on it in this one, and also to build your values, things that help you to build your values and your beliefs,
Right.
and how to also help you develop yourself in your value system. Also understanding that it is perfectly okay not to have friends for a while, because when you're growing, it's going to sieve out some relationships. And it's
Indeed.
not because you're fighting, but it's
Yeah.
because there's growth taking place, and there's going to be that separation. And when the separation occurs, they will likely not understand. It will come across as you being proud. And then you now come up with healthy boundaries. With the healthy boundary, especially when you are not the type that is used to having boundaries around you, like someone comes to you and they say, no, I want us to go out, but inside of you, you really don't want to go out. But because you find yourself being a people pleaser, you're like, okay, let's go. But inside of you, you don't want to go, but you're not
Yes,
bold to
indeed.
say, I don't want to go. So in that book, I explained how you can build healthy boundaries, and how when there's a lashback, because when people are not used to something and you're bringing it up, they will react. So when the reaction
Indeed.
comes, you need to be grounded in yourself that you are doing the right thing for you.
Absolutely.
If they are really your friend and they care for you, they will come around and they will come to understand that, okay, this is what this lady wants. Let's respect it. But when they are forcing it, it means they are not someone you should keep close really in the first place. So yeah, I explain about that in the book. That I think that's the last chapter in the book, really.
Okay. So, how do you know when a relationship is really over?
One of the
Um,
ways to know
mm,
is ghosting. Ghosting is suddenly the person will not call you. You will call, send a text, do everything to reach out to them. Not like there was a formal breakup. Like you didn't say I'm not interested, or you didn't say something like I'm done. You just went silent. That
yeah.
kind of thing is already a sign that this person is done. Now, the dangerous thing with ghosting is that because the person was not audible about the breakup, they're likely going to come back. And if you, on the other side, have not worked on yourself, you will
Yeah.
accept them back. And I can guarantee that 90% they will repeat it. They will ghost you again.
Indeed.
Except they have not seen someone to take over. Once they see someone else, they will do the same thing and they will keep going and coming and playing with your emotions. So
Mm,
the first thing is the ghosting, which is still like silence. They go silent on you. Then
yes.
another one is when you find it easy to not talk to each other for days and you are okay with it, that relationship is dying. Because if you
Absolutely.
say you love someone, you always want to hear their voice. I'm sure every one of us have felt it when you're in a relationship. You know, those honeymoon period where you are happy. Like you will say, okay, cut the phone now. Okay, I'm done. Please don't cut it now. Okay. Oh yeah, you cut the call.
Early
No, 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 no.
days.
I don't want you cut. Like that's if all these things goes and the same person that said, oh, cut the call now. Okay, no, let me cut. Okay, wait. Now finds it easy not to talk to you for days. Something
Mm,
is off. What you can do to prevent it is to try to bring up communication. Find out what is happening. Sometimes some people deal with misunderstanding by first withdrawing, which is wrong. But even if you want to withdraw, it should be for a few hours because it's basically whatever makes you withdraw is either because you want to control your emotion, you don't want to act out of emotions, you
right.
want your emotion to calm down, and then you deal with the issue. If that's the case, it's fine. But when it is going into 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, you're opening doors for even deeper issues because now
Indeed.
the other person will be wondering, what did I do? What is going wrong?
Yes.
And little by little, and if this kind of thing stretches longer, I watched a movie this afternoon. The husband was doing exactly like this. He abandoned the wife, and the wife happened to be a coach. She was speaking on the to a client, and from there, the client was asking her out, and then secretly they started dating. And that's how it will happen because when
Yeah.
there's a gap, something must fill
Mm-hmm.
it up.
Yeah,
So it's
absolutely.
better
And I
you don't
think it's
create the
important
gap.
not to let the gap grow.
Yeah. So once the gap becomes bigger and is growing bigger, then you're looking for trouble. If you value that relationship, close the gap up, except you are done. And when you are done, please be audible. Even if it's a painful truth that you will tell the other person will cry, but it's better they
Mm,
know than
yeah.
you ghosting them. Ghosting them is much more painful than you're not saying your mind. Say it. If you can't say it physically to them, first text them and find a way to now call them and speak to them. Be ready for whatever reaction, but don't expect a sweet end from someone who has genuinely loved you. The person is definitely going to
Yes.
react negatively. So these are the things that can bring an end to a relationship: ghosting, going silent on each other, and
Mm,
creating gaps that should never be in the first place.
absolutely. I think it goes back to speaking out as well. It goes back
Yeah,
to communicating your
yeah,
feelings. Some of the ways that I've actually put down when it comes to strengthening your marriage and avoiding divorce is about just talking regularly, keeping the
yeah,
conversation going, whether you're going to go out on a regular date night or whether you're
yeah,
going to, create time for yourself to have self-care together
yeah,
and maybe go on short holiday trips or spa or
yeah,
whatever break you want to go to. Just keep the conversation going. It's good to talk, and
yeah.
also to kind of take a marriage course or even
Yes.
have a relationship coach, someone like
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah.
Even buy books, or listen to
Mm-hmm.
audios as well. That could actually help
Yes,
you, or even speak to
yes,
those who have been in marriage for a very, very long time,
yes,
because I
yes,
think that they have so much information and so much knowledge to share.
yes,
And
yes,
also, to try and banish the options of divorce, to find a
Mhm.
way to really kind of eliminate that in your marriage, in your
Yeah.
relationship. Find a
Yeah.
way to work through it. Try as much as possible, like you've already mentioned, to try your best. And
Yeah.
also to take care of yourself. Some of us, we neglect ourselves, our
Mhm.
self-care, and we do not even love ourselves. We lack
Yeah.
confidence, and we always feel like we're not enough. There's always a problem in that area.
Yeah.
And so it's important for us to work with ourselves, because ultimately when you
Mhm.
love yourself, other people will love you, and you will
Mm.
attract the right people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
also, some of us, we hold on to so much grudge. It's time to forgive and to
Let's go.
freely live.
Mm. Yeah.
Forgive yourself and to freely live, and also create
Yes.
time for intimacy. And I think this is one of the issues in marriage. And it's something
Yes.
that grows in
Yeah.
marriage once
Couples
that
get
is
so
missing.
busy with
Yeah,
other things and they forget each other. Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely. And this is where you have a gap and somebody else comes in.
Mhm.
And so
Yes.
this is so important when it comes to marriage, to ensure that your marriage is strengthened and the word divorce is actually deleted and eliminated in your
Yeah.
marriage, which is something that's very, very important.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about, divorce itself. Why do you think many marriages fail? And then the next
Um,
question will follow, which is about divorce. But why do you think many marriages fail?
there are actually many reasons, but
Yeah.
the one that seems to take top of the reasons is finance and communication.
Mm,
And when I say finance now is when when money is involved and the wife has a plan, maybe a project she wants to do,
yes.
husband has a project, and there's also the family project. And now the husband is like, okay, can you drop certain amounts at the end of the month? Can I, okay, and I'll drop this. And then the wife is like, I have this I want to do. And the husband is like, but our family is much more important. And this can actually bring issues. Then from there, the wife is like, okay, maybe what she's going to do is, let's assume she's a business person. She will start reducing her income.
Mm,
Then she would only open up the amount she wants the man to know, just to avoid the so-called problem, which obviously
yes.
will lead to a bigger problem.
Yeah.
And when the man now finds out, the man is, of course, it's going to be broken at the, like, so you can do this. And
Absolutely.
men, I noticed something about men, especially those that genuinely loves. When you betray their trust, they struggle a lot more compared to the women.
Mm,
And women as well do. If you see a woman that loves you genuinely and you hurt her when she's done, just gently, peacefully go. Don't hand her, because if you if you try to prove a point, that kind of woman will go to any length to get rid of you. And I'm
yeah.
not saying in terms of killing you now. I'm talking about
Mm,
going to court to make sure there's an order for you not to ever come in contact, even with your children. So
yes.
that kind of thing, if you know you're at fault, of course, try to rectify it. Sincerely speaking, I would always preach against divorce, even though I am. That's the interesting part. But
Right.
my own was due to domestic abuse,
Okay.
and mine was more like a trophy. Let me be sincere. I'm happy. I'm happy about my own, but of course, it
Mm,
still has its own effect. We'll still come back to talk about that. But
yeah.
one of the things that brings divorce in is the communication, dishonesty,
Yes.
which is linked with the money, and
Mm,
also broken trust. Let's say it really, I believe one should stay true to their vows. That it is
yes.
this woman, is this man I will stick with forever, blah blah blah. But the truth is, we all make mistake.
Mm,
Yes, I don't call adultery a mistake. I'm not a fan of calling adultery a mistake, because it takes plan, effort to say you commit it. Like, you would have thought of it, how to prevent your spouse from discovering, then maybe book an hotel, like something. You definitely plan adultery. It's not like lie that somebody is asking you a question and suddenly you don't know what to say. You quickly, that's a different case. So I can't say it's a mistake, but when the man decides to open up to you,
yes.
seek for forgiveness. The the best thing you can, I'm not saying instantly forgive, because forgiveness, I don't always say forgive people. I don't just say forgive. I don't use that word loosely, because to
Yeah.
forgive a person, it takes some steps. First of all,
Mm,
let the person let the situation sink, let them process it. What just happened? My husband just cheated on me. And to be candid, some people, adultery is a deal breaker for them. And if that
Absolutely.
is it, please just leave the woman, because most likely she would have told you from the one. So just as you are finishing your adultery, just gonna carry your bag and go. But then, even while you're carrying your bag, I will still say, still give it a chance to see.
Mm,
We are human beings, and
yeah.
the person that says it's a deal breaker can, because of the love she has for you, let's go. Of course, there will be more terms and condition, and you must be ready to follow it. Now, when you
Absolutely.
open up to a person that you did something, don't expect them to just forgive you. No, they
Mm,
won't.
yeah.
They won't forgive you.
It's a
They will first
process.
want to process it, like what just happened. Someone has betrayed my trust, and he even had the gut to sleep with another woman. Sometimes it can be very painful when you discover the woman they slept with is not as beautiful as you are, and you're like, really?
Yeah.
Are you blind? You know, that kind of feeling. And then
Absolutely.
it will take time for them to now, they will grieve it.
Mm,
They will need to allow the emotion. That's why I always say, don't be very fast to tell someone to forgive. Let them
yeah.
process it. Let them cry. If they don't want to talk to you for 6 months, leave them. Let them grieve. The truth is, when you allow them to grieve, it
Mm,
becomes easy for them to forgive you and trust you again. But when you are
absolutely.
pushing and saying, no, forgive, forgive, and then you go to your pastor to come and talk to her to please let her forgive you, you are going to create more problem.
Yes.
And now, if the man has done all this, and then you claim to have forgiven, and then when he is talking to his colleague, the next thing you do is to call him one dirty name due to the mistake, you're looking
Yeah.
for trouble. That marriage will finally end.
Indeed.
These are part of the things, unforgiveness, not
Yeah.
letting go.
You're right. You're
Not
absolutely right.
letting go. You are
Yeah.
holding it against him. He
Mm,
on the other side is like, what else do you want me to do? I've begged
yeah.
you. Let me not even use adultery. Let's say it is maybe the woman has a savings and the man borrowed it without telling her with the intention to return it, of course. And then she
Mm,
discovers and she's angry, and then all hell was let loose. And of course, the man will beg you, I only borrowed it. I'm sorry I didn't tell you. I thought it was something I can quickly use and return. And
yes.
then you are so impatient, you start telling the whole world, my husband stole from me. And the man is like, I just explained to you. You are destroying his self-esteem.
And it's
You are
character,
taking
isn't
away his
it?
confidence. His
Absolutely.
character is being tarnished. If I'm
Yeah.
the man as well, I will just let you be. I'll
Mm,
refund you your money and I will go. So these are part of the things that destroys marriage.
yeah.
Unforgiveness, not communicating, and
Mm-hmm.
also finance, dishonesty,
Yes,
broken
indeed.
trust. These are the
Yeah.
things. So if you know you can't deal with someone who has cheated on you, it's better to just let go than letting the person to remain in your house, and then all you
Mm.
can do is frustrate them. Yeah,
Absolutely. Just to buttress what you've just said, I think that, it's about really taking an inventory
yeah,
and looking at the red flags. And
yeah,
this is very important, looking at the red flags and looking at the source of the conflict in your
yes,
relationship, you know. And I think it's about finding a way not to blame the other spouse, but also for you to take responsibilities for your own actions and your own mistakes as well. And I think that it's important for us to actually focus on ourselves and do what we can to become a better person, and for
yes,
us to work on issues before they escalate and turn to
yeah,
divorce.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
think it's about taking an inventory, a red flag, checking it. Is there a conflict? Will something happen? And these are the red flags that I, want to really mention. Boredom in marriage is a form of red flag. Broken trust, you've already mentioned that in your conversation. And also, poor communication as well, not being able to express yourself. Nobody
yeah,
knows what's going on in your life, in your individual life, your work. You're not really communicating anything. And infidelity as well, emotional abuse,
yeah,
addiction, lack of intimacy, and lack of respect. These are some of the red flags. And if you feel that all these things that we've mentioned today has actually struck a chord, then it's time for you to start making a list of all
yeah,
these red flags and start working on it.
yeah,
Start working on it and make sure that it doesn't exist as it does anymore. then you
Yeah.
need to now find a relationship coach to help you if you feel you can't tackle it,
Mm-hmm.
because it will get worse.
Yeah.
And then, the home is broken, everything becomes separated, and then there's a divorce.
Yeah.
So it's important for us as married people to ensure that we look at the red flags and we start to find a way to start to look at how we can actually resolve it. And if we can, people like yourself, you're there to offer the help and the support and the coaching so that we can avoid getting ourselves into divorce, which is very, very important, because ultimately the children are affected.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
are the ones that are affected the most. And it's really, really unfortunate that there's quite a lot of children who are affected by parents splitting up. And,
Mm.
there are other ways in which we can also ensure that we save marriages as well. So it's about accepting your partner's feelings. Sometimes
Yeah.
we kind of neglect the partner's feelings and we think about ourselves first
Yeah.
without
Yeah.
even giving the partner any validation at all, any
Yeah.
opportunity for them to speak or to share,
Yeah.
their feelings, to really, let us know how they feel, how your actions is making them respond to you.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And also thinking about, not allowing yourself to get yourself worked up to the point that it becomes physical, which is the DV. And
Yeah.
something that you've actually mentioned that you've actually experienced. So do you want to
Yeah.
just kind of tell us how to avoid that in marriages?
The first way to actually avoid domestic violence
Yeah.
is to watch the red flags while you're dating.
Mm,
No matter how good a person is good at pretending, something will let them off.
absolutely.
And that was one of my own mistake. It
Mm,
was later I was not seeing the red flags they're always there. The signs are always there. Your instincts will always tell you. So the first thing is to be careful. No, don't let love cloud your reasoning. So a
yes.
point where you don't even want to put a pause on that relationship
Mm,
to evaluate
absolutely.
to see if it's worth it. And now,
Mm-hmm,
let's say you are now married. Maybe it was because it actually does happen that someone is not abusive from start,
mm-hmm. Yeah.
and because sometimes stress makes people start misbehaving. Maybe stress at work
Yes.
or outside or something can make them change, or some
Mm,
maybe setbacks, financial setbacks can make anybody
indeed.
change from that very loving person to a touchy person and from touchy to abusive. And
Yes.
abuse is not just about the physical, it
Mm-hmm,
starts from the finances, emotional, verbal, psychological, mental. The physical is usually the last.
mm,
They would have been doing every other one, but because it's only recently that people are knowing about the emotional abuse, psychological abuse, mental abuse. They usually think once you hear domestic violence, they're thinking about beating and slapping, but it starts from emotions. When the
yes.
person starts
Absolutely.
making you to be needing them, like they suddenly ghost you. You are calling them. This moment they are loving, the next moment they are back, they're like, don't come close, and then you're confused
Yeah.
when if your spouse was not like that from start, that's the time to see a counselor. It's the time to
Indeed.
see a relationship coach, because at that point your words may not work. Anything you say at that point would trigger many more negative emotions,
Yeah.
and that's not what you want. So you will need someone neutral to guide you, to put you through, to help you prevent it. But now if you unfortunately are in a relationship with an abusive person, now some people are abusive without them even knowing. And
Yeah.
why I said without them knowing is because of how they were brought up, and it's seen as normal. There are so many
Mm,
wrong things that people see as normal until they are told. So if peradventure you're married to someone who is like that and you call their attention to it, the first thing they should do is to make corrections. And it, of course, is an habit. It's something they will need to be. So they will likely still be making that mistake. It is up to you to now nip it up. Like, no, I told you
yes.
I don't do this. And with time, it's just like a muscle. You keep working on it, and with time, you get used to it. But now, to the ones that, in fact, call Jesus down, they're not going to change. And because even God cannot change you if you don't want to change.
Indeed.
So basically, that kind of relationship, I would say walk away. Don't think twice. and
Fantastic.
don't try to create any kind of excuse. I actually made a
Mm,
post about this, I think yesterday, and because many reasons, a lot of reasons, both from the male folk and the female folk, even though it's more on the female side, abuse is not gender based really, just
mm,
that it's more to one side. Some of the excuses, especially from the men, they're going to be like, "Ah, they say I'm the head, I should be the head." The truth is, you can never be an head to something that is not available.
mm.
So if you say you want to
Indeed.
be the head and you try to be the head, that head will be damaged. It's true, the head
Right.
will be damaged. And then if you're the
Mm,
one you're saying you're staying for your children, trust me, you're destroying your children.
absolutely.
The day you leave, you would, and the day you leave, yeah, I'm not saying your leaving would be easy. I'm
Mm,
not saying the first few months will be rosy. I assure you that it's not going to be, because I've been there and I know how it was. But like, if I didn't tell you that, you wouldn't have known. That's because I keep moving and I
mm-hmm.
keep doing what I need to do to get better.
Yeah.
I
Right.
have a coach as well. So
Mm-hmm.
if I want to open up to my coach, she was like, I never, in fact, she was just looking like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Because I didn't let what I've been through to be my
Affect.
apparel,
Yeah.
allow it. And I kept on moving. I
Mm,
kept on learning. I went for counseling, I went for therapy, because over the years, it's just like saying you put a sponge in a soap. By the time you leave it there, it will soak in the soap. Even if I'm not a
absolutely.
toxic person, somehow that thing has been transferred to me. So I need to unlearn it. That was why I went for therapy. So if in a situation where it is abuse, I would even if it's not abuse, whatever makes you end up in divorce, really, you need someone to help you through the journey. Either
Absolutely.
abuse or amicable relationship that if you broke
Mm,
up amicably, you need someone, because you may think you can, but the truth is, most times, especially when I hear I'm a strong woman, I that thing to me is like someone is trying to quote something. You're trying to quote the problem inside. I have loads of them. They will come. Oh, I'm a very strong woman, and I know I've been helping people. But by the time we start talking, I realize that as a strong woman, can you please don't be strong for now? Because most times when they say I'm a strong woman, they are just using
yeah.
to quote their
Mm,
pain that is inside. So if you keep carrying on that apparel of I'm a strong woman, you won't heal. And then you keep transferring the toxic that you left to your
yes.
children. And that's why sometimes you will see children from a divorced home looking like they brought them from the pit of hell. But it's not because those children cannot even be raised with their single moms alone, but because their moms are not working on themselves.
Yeah.
So if you say you're leaving a relationship due to domestic violence, see a therapist, see a coach, let them help you. And that's actually one of the things I do. And if even if it's not, I mean, abuse is not involved, because divorce it happens amicably. Actually, sometimes both of
Yeah.
them
And
come
sometimes it doesn't.
work together and they're like, okay, let's just split up. But we'll
Yeah.
have an agreement for the children. And the funny part is, for the early phase of divorces, those that happen amicably, there's this honeymoon phase when you still have agreements. Okay, you're taking the children this weekend, I'll take the children next weekend. By the time would come, that honeymoon phase will go.
Mm,
What would keep you going at that point is your determination to at least be a parent, be a parent that you are to your children. So for the sake of that children, make that your divorce even work. So there's still work.
mm,
Except there's no children are fine. You don't have anything to do together. But once there's children, you still have something to do together. Except in the case of abuse, where maybe there's a court order that says it can't come close, or you can't, like, that's a different case. But if it's a relationship that broke down in a natural way, then there must be a relationship that is in favor for the children. The goal is
absolutely.
the children, raising them healthy, making things balanced for them, and letting
Mm,
them know that, oh, this is why there's divorce.
yeah.
I'm sorry you
Absolutely. I
can't do it
agree.
this way, blah blah blah. But at the same time, we'll still be here for you. I'm your
Yeah.
mom, I'm your dad. Anytime you need me, call me. If you
Yeah.
want me to come here, let me know. So, but don't because of maybe you have an appointment today and you are meant to take the children, and then the man is like, oh, it's not my day, and then because it's like, I'm sorry, I can't do it, you not get angry, start using it to misbehave, and you're not forget to focus the children.
Yes,
This
indeed.
this also happens in marriage. So basically, if there's children in your divorce, you can't do but have that communication still, at least around the children. So basically, it's still needed either way. And don't be fast to go into another relationship.
Mm,
A lot of women make that mistake that once there's a there's a divorce, they are falling in love instantly. No, it's a very, very wrong step to take. The first thing to do is to grieve. Either
yeah.
your relationship was done amicably, even if it was abuse, I still grieve now because I invested my time. I'm talking about 7 years. I invested my time. So I still needed to grieve. So you need
Mm,
to grieve the relationship, because if you don't, it is you suppressing the negative emotion. And because your emotion is like an energy, it needs to go off. So
yeah.
grieve the relationship and also embrace yourself. Be kind to yourself. Then
Mm,
analyze why the relationship went off, even if it's an abusive one. Analyze why you even fell into that hand in the first place. Ask the
indeed.
questions. This is all to prevent you from making the same mistake again. When you know why you went into that relationship, or if it is not abusive, you know why the relationship ended up the way it did, you will now know where to work on yourself.
Absolutely.
Even if you want to move on, get into another relationship, you are not repeating the same mistake. And this time, you are now going with a better knowledge
Yeah.
to make sure this new one works, except
Mm,
it is not for you, which obviously should never be to the stage of getting married. It should be in just cutting and you realize, okay, no, it's not going to work. I'm handing off. So basically, what you need to do is analyze why the relationship went off, any mistake you made in the relationship, grieve the relationship for as long as possible, see a therapist, see a coach,
yeah.
someone to guide you through, and then make sure you're fine. Be kind to yourself,
Fantastic.
be very patient with yourself, because healing for some people can just be 1 month, 2 months, and they're fine. And some people, it can be up to a year. Some people, it can
Indeed.
be more actually. So go on your journey, focus on your journey, focus on you. And then when you're fine, you can now move on, because you don't want to carry the baggage from your past relationship into a new relationship.
Absolutely. I think you've actually nailed it there. And you've actually kind of summarized, the last words of encouragement for our viewers who are watching us.
Okay.
So that's really, really amazing. And I just wanted to just add and just say, in order for the relationship to keep going and to be fun, it's important that, we keep our significant other happy and we keep ourselves happy as well in the journey. And to
Yeah.
also do simple things such as taking simple walks, or even going for vacations, or
Yeah.
even taking an interest in one another's interest in whatever it is that they like to do. And
Yes.
also, to outsource anything that is very tedious. So for example, household chores, if you feel like you both work full time and you're not able to do it, you can always outsource it so that there isn't any problem as to who does it and who doesn't do it well. And
Yeah.
also, make time for yourselves, encourage yourself, support one another, and to listen and also empathize with one another as well, and also share problems and also resolve them. Let there be a solution in your marriage. So we can stay here all night speaking about marriage. Is such a wide topic and talk about different topics, but we just want to thank everybody for tuning in and listening to this amazing podcast. And I want to say thank you to my wonderful guest, who is really amazing. And she has definitely blown us away tonight with the amazing strategies and tips for couples. So thank you so much, Ruth. If you just want to say one sort of last word of encouragement to our viewers and to marriage couples out there, that would be really awesome.
Okay. Like I've said a lot of things today, but one thing I would say is
Yeah.
do everything you can within your power to make your marriage work.
Fantastic. I love that. That is really brilliant. And how can people reach you and get in touch with you to get your books, and also if they need your support as a coach?
Okay, my books are actually on Amazon.
Good.
You can
Fantastic.
check on Amazon for any of my books. The value code, self-esteem, silencing the inner critique. Also, this relationship evaluation workbook. The three of them are on Amazon presently. And also, if they want to reach me, they can check me out on Instagram at the Unbreakable Ruth. That's the name for my IG handle. Then on Facebook, it's just this name. Search for this page, Ruth Oluwadare. You'll see me there. All my details are on that place. And when you get to my Instagram, I have on my bio, you get to see any of my service. In case you need any of my services, it is on my bio, the link in my bio. So just check for the Unbreakable Ruths and you'll see me. I'm the only one on Facebook with that. I'm sorry, Instagram. So no need for any number. Just put the THE.Unbreakable Ruth and there you'll find me.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Thank you so much. And I'll be leaving some of those contacts in the comment section below. So thank you so much to all our wonderful guests. It's been amazing having you again. Keep supporting Birth Your Vision Live podcast and also share. And we want to see more female entrepreneur and also business owner come and share their story, their journey, and how they can actually support you and I in growing your business. So join me again next week with another amazing guest. And I'm your host. Stay blessed. Thank you all for watching. Have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you.